Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Ahmad Amanan Abdul Solihin. My student number is 231120409. I'm from TBI 2. I'm here to do my last assignment for basic English reading. And so here it is. I'll be fast because my laptop isn't going to be good for handling the files because it's almost full. My laptop would have killed itself if this goes on for longer. Okay, let's get into it. First, in the PowerPoint that Miss sent, why is reading important? My answer is that reading is important because it helps us to learn new things, to improve our vocabulary, and to understand the world better. It also helps us to think critically and solve problems, and to communicate effectively. And then for the second one, what is effective reading? So for me, effective reading is reading with purpose. Why is that? It means actively engaging with the rest of with the text and understanding of the author's messages. Okay. Then after that, I remember that before you start reading, we must set a purpose. What do you want and want to learn from the text that you read? And then we choose the right reading material for our needs. We need to select a book or article that interests us. And then find a quiet place to read. Some people might say they prefer to read in a dense area like area with a lot of people, but some people are just like a quiet environment because it helps them to focus. And then after that we have tips for effective reading. The tips are, first, we must preview the text because and then we must read the text actively and ask ourselves questions as we read and try to answer the points, answer the questions. And then we must take notes of the important information, and then we must summarize the main ideas in our own words, and that leads us to the main idea and its points. Main idea and its points. First, the main idea is the central message of a text. The points are the supporting details that explains the main idea, and that leads us to the supporting details. The topic of a sentence in the subjects of the sentence, that is the main idea. The supporting details provide more information about the topic. So the supporting details is like provide more information than the main ideas ones. Maybe, I don't know. Why is learning paragraph pattern and important and its purpose? Learning paragraph pattern is important because it helps us to understand how ideas are organized in a text. This will help us to identify the main idea and its supporting details more easily. Then we have the types of paragraph patterns. We have simple listing, description, cause and effect, comparison, and contrast. There are 4 more, but I'll just keep it simple. And then we have 9 simple listing. Simple listing is a paragraph pattern that lists a series of related ideas. Description, and then the description of simple listing and its sample. The description is about simple listing is a paragraph that describes a person, place, or a thing. The example is like, my favorite hobby is playing video games. I enjoy playing a variety of games including action, adventure, role-playing games, and romance. Wait, never mind, don't include romance. I often play games with my friends online. And then we have the definition of sample. The definition of simple listing and its sample. So the definition of simple listing is a paragraph, the pattern that lists a series of related ideas, same as before. And the sample is that I need to buy groceries for dinner tonight. I need to buy rice, chicken, carrots, potatoes, and also need to buy some spices like salt, pepper, garlic powder, ginger masala, or whatever that is. And then next we have how do I spell chronological, time, order, or sequence. So chronological, time, order, or sequence is a paragraph pattern that organizes events in the order in which they occur. For example, first I woke up at 7 a.m. and then I ate breakfast. After that I got ready for school. Finally I left for school at 8 a.m. That's the example. And then we have comparison contrast. So comparison contrast is a paragraph pattern that shows similarities and differences between two or more things. For examples, cats and dogs are both popular pets. However, cats are independent and often prefer to be alone, while dogs are social animals that crave attentions. Cats are also clean animals that groom themselves, whereas dogs needs to be bathed regularly. That's the example. Then we have cause and effect. Cause and effect is a paragraph pattern that shows a relationship between events where one event can cause another event. For example, because it rained heavily last night, the streets were flooded this morning. Many cars were stuck in the water and people were unable to get to work on time. How unfortunate. Skill issue. And then the others, the next 4 patterns of arrangement. We have one spatial. It organizes information according to physical space or location. And then we have chronological, organizes information according to time. We have logical, organize information based on the logical relationship, such as cause and effect, or comparison and contrast and comparison. And then we have, and then the last, the general, specific, or specific to general. That leads us to general to specific patterns. So here, a pattern that starts with a general statement and then provides specific details to support it. How? The example: dogs are loyal companions. They can provide comfort, protection, and unconditional love. They are also great for exercise and can help to reduce the stress. That's the examples. And then we have specific to general patterns, the opposite of the before in the names, but here we are. A pattern that starts with specific details and then it ends with general statements. So the text starts with specific details and then ends with general statements. For example, I woke up early, ate a healthy breakfast, and went on the run. I felt energized and focused all day. These simple habits have made a big difference in my overall well-being. Okay, we go next. We have questions and answers patterns. So the pattern, it is a pattern that represents a question and then provides an answer. Example for question and answer is that what is the capital of France? The capital of France is Paris. That's the answer. And then we have order of important patterns. Order of important patterns is a pattern that organizes information from least important to most important, or vice versa. I don't know what is vice versa. I will look it up later, but I got the example for the order of importance patterns. While many factors contribute in climate change, the most significant ones are the burning of fossil fuels. This releases greenhouse gases into the atmosphere, trapping heat and causing global temperature to rise, which is bad. That's the example. And then we have implied main idea. So we have implied main idea here. The definition is implied main idea is a main idea that is not directly stated but is suggested by the details in the text. For example, the old man sat alone on the bench. Almost said bench. His gaze fixed on a distant horizon. A single tear rolled down his his cheek as he reminisced about the past. Implied main idea. The implied main idea is that the old man is feeling lonely and sad. And then next we have figuring out implied main idea in a paragraph. So in order for us to figure out the implied main idea, we can identify the topic of the text that we read. What is the main subject of the paragraph? And then we have to look for key details in the text. What important points does the author make? And then we must ask ourselves, what is the overall message that the author is trying to convey? Okay. Next we have the inference definition. Definition of inference. An inference is a conclusion reached on the basis of evidence and reasoning. And then we have, how do you know that you are being asked to make an inference? We might be asked to make inference when the text said when the text doesn't directly state about the information, and then it requires you to read between the lines and then use words like suggest, imply, or infer. Okay, what inferring can do for you? Inferring can improve our reading comprehension, and then it can help us understand complex text, and then it can enhance our critical thinking skills, and then it can make connection between ideas. Yes, it can make connections between ideas. And then we have guidelines for making inferences in reading. So there are guidelines for making inferences in reading, such as, first one, read carefully. We must pay attention to the details of the text. And second, we must activate prior knowledge. What's that? We must connect the text to what we already know before the text. And then third, we must look for clues. We must identify Identify words, phrases, and sentences that the hint at the meaning. And then we must make logical guesses. We must use our reasoning skills to draw conclusion about the text. And then we must consider the context of the text. We must think about the overall meaning of the text. Okay, next we have inferences in graphs and tables. Inferences in graphs and tables. To make inferences from graphs and tables, we must analyze the data. We must look for the patterns, trends, and relationships on the graph. Yeah, and then we must consider the context. We must think about the source of the data and the purpose of the graphs or table. And then we must draw conclusion. We must use our analysis to make informed guesses. And then we have reading inferences, reading graphs. We must to understand inferences from graph. We must identify the variables, look for trends. We must ask if the data is the data increasing, decreasing, or staying the same. And then we must compare the data points. How do different parts of the graphs relate to each other? And then we have draw conclusion. What can we infer from the patterns and trends? And then we have context clues. So context clues are words or phrases that provides hints about the meaning of an unfamiliar word. There are common types of context clues, such as the definition of the content. Context clues. The word is directly defined into the sentence, and then we have synonym, a similar word used nearby. Antonym, an opposite word is used nearby. And then we have example. An example is given to illustrate the meaning. And then we have general context. The overall meaning of the sentence or paragraph provides clues. And then we have the definition of synonym and antonym. So the definition of synonym and antonym. For synonym, it is a word with similar meanings. Example, big and large. For antonym, it is a opposite meanings from synonym, such as hot and cold. Type of context clues. We types. We can't read. We must read the sentence carefully, because if we missed one, we might not be able to understand the context. And then we must look for the clues. We must identify the synonyms, antonyms, or definitions, or the examples in the text. We must use our prior knowledge, connect the word to what we already know before, and then we must try different meanings. We must experiment with different definitions to see what makes sense. So next we have, what is it called? Can you use context clues to guess what the meanings of the context of a nonsense word? In my opinion, no. You cannot use context clues to guess the meaning of nonsense word. Context clues rely on the relationship between words and their meanings within a specific context. You can. And then we have references and referring expressions. So references is a word or phrases that refer to something else in the text. Referring expressions, however, is the specific words or phrases used to refer to something. Then we have referent and its sample. A referent is a thing that a referring expression refers to. For example, the cat is a referring expression, and the actual cat is the referent. And then we have the explanations of the relationship between expressions of language and things outside of it. So for me, language is used to represent things in the real world. Referring expressions is to connect language to the external world by pointing to specific entities or stuff. Yeah, like that. Number 36, definite reference and indefinite reference. So definite reference refers to a specific entity that already known or can be identified from the context. Example, the book. And then indefinite references refers to a general category or an entity that is not yet known or identified. So the example is like a book. And then we next, if I recall perfectly, is about primary versus secondary referring expressions. Primary referring expression is directly referring to an entity. Example like proper nouns, definite and indefinite articles. Second referring expressions refer to an entity and indirectly, often using pronouns or other expressions that rely on the context. And then we have a joke. What is it? Wouldn't you love a sweet Pramangada like mine? No, I don't like dogs. I'd rather eat them. Then next we have what are signal words and their functions. Signal words are words or phrases that indicates a specific relationship between ideas. They help readers to understand the structure and organization of a text. Yes, it makes the reader easily to understand the structure of the text. And then next we have the function of signal words. We kind of speed run this and skip some parts because it's too long. My laptop couldn't handle it. So first one, addition. The examples are and, also, in addition, furthermore, and moreover. For time, order, or sequence, first, second, third, next, then, finally, before, after, while, and during. And then space and place, above, below, beside, next to, in front of, behind of. And then example, signal words example. For example, for instance, such as. And then for show results, therefore, as a result, consequently, and then signal purpose, to, in order to, so that, indicate contrast, but, however, although, nevertheless, on the other hand, and then alternatives, or either, or either or, and then neither nor. Yes, neither nor. And then we have exceptions, except, unless, and then we have objection. Objections and disputes, but, however, although, nevertheless. And then we have I intensify it like very extremely really, and then we have summary or repeat. In short, in brief, in summary, to sum up, in short, in brief, in summary, and to sum up, that's the last. That's all from me. Thank you for the lesson this semester, miss. Thank you very much. I'm sorry that I cannot explain it a lot more because my laptop can't handle the editing part. So yeah, that's all. Thank you very much for the second time. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.